morning, guys. This is Dr. Rob Kelly, the Addiction Doctor. Welcome to the show, Recovery Channel Podcast. This is a Friday. It's now 12:01, so good afternoon wherever you are, or good morning, or good evening if you're listening from the United Kingdom, which we have some listeners over there. Great to see some viewers straight in there, guys. Fantastic. Got a great show for you today, guys. But before I start, I want to say, because I came across something during the week, I'm really good at noticing other people and what they do and how they go about it. And I was talking to most of my patients and some of my friends is we never know how good we are. Okay. So when I look back at my lifetime, some of the things I've done, when I look back into my late teens, with the bodybuilding and stuff like that, I was looking at a photograph the other day and I was like, oh my God, this looks awesome. This is amazing. Look how good I was. But the thing is, guys, at the time, I didn't know that. And it seems that we miss out on so many things in our life because while we're, concentrating for that day or hour or week, how good do I look? Do I look like okay? Is my hair okay? Am I too fat? Am I too thin? Am I too tall? All this is being lost in the moment. So my friend says to me, look at those, these were the days. You got a black and white photograph of me and him many years ago. Those were the days, Rob. Weren't they fantastic? And I said, oh my God, look how thin we looked. Look how young we look. Oh my God, it looked amazing. And he said, those were the days, Rob. And I thought they were, but we didn't know them at the time. So the idea is today is go through your day and recognize who you are, recognize how much power you've got, because you do have power, believe me. Everybody does. See what the universe wants for you today and go out and kill it. Remember the story I tell, quantum physics, about the basketball court. Quantum physics tells us we can be 25 places at the same time on the same basketball court because nothing's really solid. Where would I want to be? I want to be over near the goal. That's what I want to do. I want to get the ball and bang it in the net and I become the hero of the game. That's what I want to do. But many people ask, Rob, how'd you get there? You ready? I walk over and take the position. That's all there is to it. And what you can visualize in your mind, you can hold in your hand and prove it time and time and time again. And people don't believe that. Ask the universe for shit. Okay? Because if you're doing the right thing and you're in a place where you're willing to accept, things start happening to you really quick. Okay? You have to understand that. That is so awesome. And that's what we need to do. Hey, Killer Force, good to see you, my man, over there. Thank you for checking in with a comment on our messenger. Guys, if you've got any messages or anything like that, jump in and you'll be able to leave us a message, give you a shout on the show, whatever it is. It's Friday. It's 12:04 on the 16th of the 7th, 2021. And Brandy Burris will be on the show straight after this. Guys, welcome back. This is the Recovery Channel Podcast. My name is Dr. Rob Kelly, the Addiction Doctor. And today, on Friday, we have Brandy. How you doing, Brandy?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. Glad you're on the show. Welcome.
Thank you for
those guys who don't know you, tell everybody what you're about and who are you?
Well, I am about all kinds of things, a little bit of Jane of all trades. My main focus really lately, the last 17 years, has been health and nutrition. I was pretty much propelled into studying nutrition when I was in my 20s, basically to save my life. Come to find out, I was severely hypoglycemic and my blood sugar was never getting above 70, really above 60. And so functioning was extremely difficult. And since there's no actual medical code for this, then I was kind of sent out of the office with a little note that says, eat small, frequent meals. And that was it. So in order to save myself, I really had to dive into studying myself and finding out what I could do from a nutrition standpoint and food standpoint. And that really pushed me into a nutrition lifestyle, moved me into the fitness lifestyle. And now I have all of that put together.
Wow. So let's talk about the holistic lifestyle because we do not, well, I don't. And I tell my patients and friends that just because the doctor says you should go on a certain drug doesn't mean you have to. I mean, get a second opinion. I mean, look at in my industry now, it's addiction, and it all goes around obviously the strong pain meds that came out for profit only. What's wrong with morphine? It's good enough for my mom giving birth and having cancer. But no, we had to go on something stronger. So I often think, and Adderall, I'm not even going to talk about that for the mess it's made of our kids. So talk about the holistic side. What does that include, and what do you have to do to follow the direction?
Well, the holistic side and the natural side, they kind of go hand in hand. So holistic, you start looking at the entire picture. It's basically the word holistic. So you look at everything that's involved. So it's not just the main symptom that you're seeing. There's multiple contributing factors to that symptom coming to life. And that's what the holistic standpoint looks at, is every contributing factor. So as a holistic health practitioner, that's really what I have to do, is I have to look at everything that's going on. And then start looking at really what the main symptoms are. So typically with conventional medicine, we really just treat those symptoms. Holistic goes much deeper to figure out why those symptoms are happening. And so with the natural side of everything, then you really start to move towards anything that we can get as close to the way it was made possible. So as much as we can do through food, the better, because it's loaded in nutrients, it's loaded in phytonutrients, it's all bioavailable. So it's in a language that our body can understand. So as long as we can put things in our body that our body can translate and our body can utilize, we're basically giving our body just this army of nutrition and nutrients to be able to fight back with whatever we need to fight back against.
So how important, because you'll know this more than anything else, when I first came to America, I was training the same as I was, but I put on about 40 pounds over a period of 6 months only. And I went to my doctor and said, what is going on? Has my metabolism slowed down? And he literally said, no, it's the food over here. It's the size of the plates you get. And it's also mostly saturating fat or hormones are injected. I mean, how fit is our foods today in the supermarket?
Well,
Here we go.
That's a big question.
Right.
I was having this conversation with a client about a year ago, and she said, you can't really get completely non-GMO and organic. I said, correct, we can't. In today's society, with as much as everybody is consuming, as much as things are having to be grown, you can find certified organic, you can find verified non-GMO. But we have to just understand at some level, there's going to be something in there that maybe wasn't at its creation. But as long as we can lessen how much that is, then we're at least doing that much more for our body to help. So it's the food quality, and a lot of that just comes from over farming. It comes from mass producing, and it also comes from us as a society thinking that bigger is better. And, just because that strawberry is so much bigger, it doesn't mean it's better than the one that's smaller. The one that's bigger may have just had the extra growth hormone and while it was being grown. So we as a society start thinking bigger is better, and we need to have more food on our plates, and we need to have more food at the celebration. And it's not necessarily the way we need to look at everything. We really just have to look at quality versus quantity.
Exactly. And I think most supermarkets that we go to, especially the lower grade supermarkets, I'm not going to mention anybody in case you get sued, but yeah, it's bigger and better. And people accept and really depend on that when they go shopping. Is look what I've got for my money. Where in the hindsight, if you want to eat healthy in this country, you have to obviously shop at certain stores, and it's like double the price. I don't know. I mean, is that worth it? Can families afford that? I mean, how does that work in our society?
Well, I also think, that it does become a little bit more expensive. And when you're getting foods that have a much shorter shelf life, they're going to go bad faster. Well, the way I look at it is, then we shop a little bit more frequently. We have somewhere we go, and it becomes our route. It becomes the way when we're coming home from maybe work, then that we stop by that one store so that we can pick up the fresh produce that we can use for the next 4 days. And we just have to make it a priority. And we forget that we ourselves are a priority, that our bodies are we only get one. I mean, our body is our number one priority, and we forget that. We get lost in work, we get lost in family commitments, we get lost in just the everyday stressors and necessities of life, that we forget that we need to absolutely take care of ourselves first and foremost, not selfishly, but in order for us to be able to fulfill all of these needs that we have, and that other people, especially if we have families, are needing from us. So it is a little bit pricier, but I always equate it to the fact that we always know when we're buying something at a bargain, we're going to get a bargain in return. So if we're buying a cheaper version of X, we know that it's likely not going to last as long. It may fall apart faster.
Yeah.
But we know that ahead of time. But it's no different than with our food. It's no different than what we're doing to ourselves. If we treat ourselves like a bargain, it's going to fall apart sooner.
Interesting point, because junk food is something I struggle with quite a lot, because that becomes a slight addiction for me. Now, obviously we can stop at certain times, but that's a go-to all the time. But I never really realized is like the way we're treating ourselves. I mean, that's almost like self-sabotaging behavior.
Absolutely.
When I go to the chips and I go to the pizza and I go to, I mean, there's a new look in that really interests me, instead of just getting fast food. I mean, I don't know any fast food that's good for us. Do you?
Because of the way society is, I have to help people kind of baby step through all of this. Yeah. And fast food is just part of what we deal with and what we face. Sometimes you just have to grab something. And is it better to grab a Snickers bar versus maybe some Chick-fil-A grilled chicken nuggets? Just depends on which fast food you choose. And now, the great thing about menus now is that they are way better than they used to be even 10 years ago, because the public has educated themselves.
Yeah.
And we have more options. You have to know where to look, and you have to not be scared to ask for that modification. But there are some out there that they're going to be higher in sodium. Well, you just plan the rest of the day around it. So there are some out there. We just have to hold ourselves to that standard of, I'm worth taking those extra 5 minutes to just look through the menu a little bit deeper, in order to make it such a priority.
I love that. Yeah. So 5 minutes could really increase your lifespan if you just want to read through. I always remember when a certain fast food burger place came out and started serving salads. Mm-hmm. So this was the big turning point. Our kids are too fat. We need to do something about it. Obesity and stuff like that. But we found out that the salads was just as high in calories as one of their burgers, which I thought was unbelievable. So on that point, it's really, really worth reading what you're eating. Because if you don't, then, you could be eating all sorts of crap thinking you're eating healthily, but you're not. You're banging on more calories, and just because it looks good and it's sold as a salad, what's on that salad? What's the dressing? Stuff like that. It always amazes me. Yes. But it's all part of good health, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. And it's really just education and really knowing what to look at and where to look for all those little hidden magic bullets that may be in there, that we just have to be aware of. And the more that we as a society are aware of it, the less it's going to be hidden. The companies can't necessarily get away with it. I know that a lot of people have been fighting for some of the label laws to be changed and upgraded, because there are some loopholes that are allowed for labeling. So when that can be changed, it's going to give us even more knowledge of what's going in that food. And I always tell people that's another reason why we move as close as we can to things in their natural form, because we don't need a label on the apple. It's an apple.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need a label on the chicken breast, because it's just a chicken breast. So it's the less that we have to worry about labels, the less we have to worry about if it's truthful or not. So, moving kind of towards some of that. And again, it may not be as convenient, but we go right back to that. You've got to take that time to make yourself and your body and your health that priority. And maybe that gives you an extra, 10 minutes on a weekend where you're weighing out and you're packaging a bunch of sliced vegetables that you put together, so that during the week when you're in a hurry, you can just grab and go, and you don't even have to go through a fast food place. Half the time we sit in the line at the fast food place way longer than it would take for us to even make the dang food.
Oh my God. How true is that?
It's not fast. So what did we really save? We spent 5 times more of the price. We just spent 30 minutes in line. We're late going where we went. Now, if I just had it in my bag next to me, I would have actually saved time and I would have saved money. That's fast food. So it just,
my God.
It just takes
I love
that.
My God, I love that.
Yeah.
You can have fast food at home when you travel out. Unbelievable. Brandy Burris is on the show, guys. We'll be back with autism. Wait for this. Trauma and exercise. Stick around, guys.
Wait, you want some more?
Hey guys, welcome back. For those who are just listening, that was Take 12 Radio, our friends over there. It's not a paid commercial. We just like to support him. The oldest radio station around recovery and stuff like that. Amazing. Just search Monty Man online. You'll get all the stuff. Brandy, I never thought I'd learn anything because I know everything. I know everything and I'm old and I should know everything. But, oh my God, the fast food thing is not really fast food. And the labeling, if it's pure, it doesn't need a label. So that blew my mind. A health guy once told me, he said, you know, when you go shopping around the supermarket, stay away from everything on the outside of the store. Only go for the stuff inside. And I did. And we went in and everything, the perishables were all in the center and all the stuff poisoned with all sorts of chemicals to keep it fresh was on the outside. Very amazing. Talk to me about the benefits of exercise during our lifespan. Is there too young age? Is there a limit on how old you have to be? I mean, how much does that improve our life?
You know, I always tell people our bodies are built to move. Our bodies are just built that we have joints for a reason. We have bones for a reason. The only thing that's holding up our body is the skeletal system. And what's helping that skeletal system move and be protected are the muscles. So, you know, for us to constantly be moving and doing is it if you really want to get scientific, it's making the synovial fluid create in the body. Our body's creating that synovial fluid, which for those who don't know what that is, that's basically our body's WD-40. So the more we move, the more of that synovial fluid we create, the more it lubricates the joints, the more the blood circulates, the better our, you know, if you have an injury, you need that blood circulation to be able to heal that injury. We need the blood circulation for proper mental health, just so that we can get the blood flowing. The more that we get the heart pumping and the lungs working and we challenge them in a safe manner, the stronger they get. We forget that those organs are also muscle. So we have to train all of that for our bodies just for longevity purposes. So just moving every single day is step number one. And then once you're incorporating some of that exercise to continue the muscle growth and the muscle health, which is what's important, then there isn't necessarily an age limit. I mean, the age limit is when we're done. That's the age limit. That's when you stop, when you stop. That's the end game. Until then, you have to keep going because our bodies require that movement, requires the proper nutrition to support the movement. You know, but if we stop, then we're forcing ourselves to stop.
Wow. Is there a magic number regarding minutes that one should exercise every day?
No, I don't believe in that. And, you know, you can read study after study after study that says, oh, you need this. The next one will completely negate that. Another one will have this new epiphany. And, you know, it all depends on, as long as you're challenging the body just a little bit harder that day, then that's how long it takes. You do it until. So I always equate it to the high five. If you can give yourself a high five, then you know you did it right. So step one is basically where you say, I'm moving. And the body says, all right, here we go. Step two is when it says, oh, okay, we're going to work a little bit. So maybe you start to get a little moisture on the forehead. And then step 3 is when it says, oh, so we're actually working. Got it. Step 4 is when some of those defensive mechanisms start to come in and say, hold it, this is a challenge, this is tough. And that's typically where people shut down. That's when they go, all right, it's a little hard, so I'm going to stop there. When you take it to that next level where maybe you did 1 or 2 more repetitions, maybe you did an extra 2 minutes of cardio, then that's when you've taken it beyond its current threshold. When you go beyond that current threshold, that's when the body starts to adapt and it starts to recognize, I'm going to be held to this level now. I need to do what I need to do in order to meet that requirement. That's when we start to see the improvements. So for some people, if they aren't used to doing a lot of exercise, 30 minutes is nowhere close to their realm of capabilities. If that means that they can get up and they can do 5 minutes on their little pedals, then that is 5 minutes more than what they would have done. They'll slowly increase that. And then somebody else who is very active, who trains for triathlons, them doing 30 minutes is basically sleep. So, it's just going beyond that current threshold.
I love that. Now, I know that trauma plays a big part in all of our lives. I often say to people, what's your trauma? And they go, as a child? Yeah. Oh, I didn't have anybody. We grew up in an amazing house. Not true, unfortunately. Everybody has trauma in their life. Everybody. And if we watch a deer at the side of the road that gets clipped by a car, you'll watch the deer fall as it gets clipped by the car. It'll stay there as if it's dead for a few seconds, and it'll jump up and it will shake violently and then run out and get on with its day. The reason why it shakes violently is it's getting rid of all that stress that's just happened. What humans do is they keep that in the central nervous system, and it plays out in life of never getting rid of that trauma that's just happened. It's just the way it is unless you go back and do all the work. So there must be some sort of correlation between exercise, central nervous system, and trauma. I mean, I know you mentioned your trauma, which was molestation at an early age. Mm-hmm. That must have carried over to the teens and the 20s and whatever it may be. So how does that work with the trauma?
Well, trauma is an interesting thing. And I think all of us really work through those traumatic moments in so many different ways. And I don't think we ever completely release them. And I think it's just the way that we work through them and the way that we recover from them and fight our way back. So, for me personally, there were probably 3 super traumatic events in my life. And one of them was I was molested when I was probably 7 or 8. It's all, for anybody who has dealt with that, it's all very blurry. But then you have moments of clarity that you do remember, and then moments that you don't. And so for me, it really turned me to where I was much more aware of my surroundings very early on. I grew up in the entertainment industry, and so I was more nervous around people because I didn't know who to trust. It really shakes your trust ability with people because you think you trust someone, and then they violate you in such a way that you start to question your ability to trust. Not necessarily if the other person is trustworthy, it's really yourself.
Yeah.
And so then I moved on into grade school where there was quite a bit of mean girl stuff, which sounds so crazy at 5th grade, but man, those girls' claws come out with a vengeance. Yeah. And so I really dealt socially with a lot of trauma right around the age of 10. And that again shakes your trust. And so you really start to go inside, especially as a child, you don't know how to process everything. And so I kept everything inside. As I got older, and I grew up dancing, and dancing was a very big outlet for me. And then I got into fitness, and mainly because I gained a ridiculous amount of weight when I was 19, and I needed to get that off. And exercise ended up becoming that moment for me to get all of that pent up energy and anxiety out. It doesn't mean it gets rid of it completely, but it gave it an outlet. And I was able to be more comfortable with myself. I was able to be more comfortable in my skin. And you start meeting other people that are like-minded that are probably highly anxious as well, and they're getting it out. So even though you're not sharing a bunch of personal emotional stories, you're there amongst people that are looking for that same outlet. And you get into where you're in circles of people who are challenging themselves to get to that level 5, and they're pushing themselves a little bit farther. And you become this family of cheerleaders, basically. And there isn't all of the other stuff that's attached to it. So you don't have to know people's inner secrets and dark stories. You're all there for one reason or another, being brought together and getting that pent up energy out and finding somewhere for it to go.
That's awesome. I love that. Completely. Guys, Brandy Burris on the show. We'll be right back for the back half end of the show. We're going to talk about autism. Sounds a bit funny with our show, and where you can find Brandy. Stick around, guys. Back in 2 seconds. Welcome back to the show, guys. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Brandy, who's here to share a story today. This is the Recovery Channel podcast every Friday around 12 o'clock Central Time. Please join us, send us messages, follow us on all the platforms. So, Brandy, tell us how you became involved in autism.
This is where I'll get emotional. So I was blessed with twins at the age of 36, a boy and a girl. And everybody says, oh, I always dreamed of having twins, and you got the best of both worlds, having one of each. I would agree. It was fantastic. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was fantastic. So about the age of 18 months, I started noticing quite a bit of changes with them. And I had been teaching dance children of all ages since I was 17. And so I had seen typical children progressing. And I noticed some very serious things coming up with them. They completely stopped talking. By the age of 2, there was no talking in my house. And anyone who's been around toddlers, that's eerie when you don't even hear babbling. You don't even hear an attempt. And my daughter, interestingly, would take puzzles, the big chunky puzzles, and we would mix them up, and we would have probably 8 of them sitting out, mix up the pieces, and not even age 2, she would be moving one puzzle piece to its spot while the other hand was grabbing the other one. She would have them done in about a minute. I mean, perfectly. And she was just obsessed with them and letters. So moving forward, we definitely had a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorders with both of them. And being twins, if you go down the list of all of the symptoms to look for, between the 2 of them, they checked off everything. But most of the things they both didn't check off. So it was one or the other. They basically tag teamed of which one was going to do what. And I had been fighting to try and find some answers for quite some time with their pediatrician's office. And there's a little bit of a runaround that was happening. And I knew that as their mother, I was their biggest advocate, and I needed answers, and I needed something to change. And with the background that I had in nutrition and natural health and holistic health, I just said, you know what, these are my babies. I've got to fight for them. And so I started doing some things on my own. Part of it was through food. Some of it was through supplementation. And they started making progress within a month. And we started hearing them talk. They were starting to try. They were actually having communication. And with each other, they didn't even play with each other until they went absentee seizures that were going on multiple times during the day. And those completely stopped within about 3 months. So we did everything was through diet, through manipulation of, just elimination diet, manipulating what they were eating, what they weren't eating, adding a little bit of supplementation, and then rearranging the entire kitchen. Moving everything that had aluminum in it, moving all heavy metals out of the house. It was a full renovation, basically. And here they are, they're 10. Both of them have been mainstreamed in school, their entire school history. My daughter, actually, when she was in kindergarten, she tested out of 3rd grade reading and comprehension. So she also has something called hyperlexia, where she just decodes words. She could say, she could read anything at the age of 3. She was spelling words to communicate with me before she could speak. So she is super intelligent. But everything we have done has been without medications, because there are no medications for autism spectrum disorders and sensory processing disorder. There aren't. They will prescribe medications that may help some of the symptoms. Here we are back again to everything going on is just showing this symptom. So do we treat the symptom, or do we treat what's causing the symptom?
Right. Yeah.
And so we have removed gluten, we've removed dairy, we've removed all soy. We go as natural as possible. My son only eats 7 foods to begin with. So all of them I pretty much make from home, and I load as much nutrition in them as I can so that I can get that down his body. And they've made incredible progress. I've communicated with people all over the world with detoxing, because we do a lot of detoxing, and that's blood chelation, basically through natural methods, to get them all of these chemicals and things out of their system that their bodies just cannot process. Some people can, some people can't, in the same way that I am allergic to ragweed and somebody else is allergic to pollen. Their bodies just struggle with certain processings. So we have worked through all of that. We've worked around all of it. And, when we go and stay at a hotel, we pack a whole bag of our food, and we take what we need to take so that they're happy and they're content. And it's just our life. And, people that are around us, they know that that's our life. That's what we're going to do.
Wow, I love all that. I love it, absolutely. You're kind of a leader in that area, talking to other people, other moms. It's amazing what you've done. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for being you. We're coming towards the end of the show. So give me 5 superfoods, and then tell where everybody can find you.
Okay. I would say my favorite nutritional supplement, and I call it a nutritional supplement, but it's really a tree. Moringa oleifera is my absolute favorite. It's growing in popularity, as it should. I just tell people, be sure that you're not just getting moringa leaves. You'll find them dehydrated. But if you can find, you can get some of the moringa seeds or seed cake, you're going to get a whole lot more nutrition from that tree than you can. And it's bioavailable. It goes right back to where I was saying it's food that our bodies, it's a language it can understand. The more you can stick that in, especially with kids, because they don't like to eat all the healthy stuff, the more you can sneak that in, the better. I'm really big into vegetable purees. And this may have started when my babies were little. I was that crazy mom that made all their food. But being able to put that in food, so if you're baking, you can use it in place of water. When you're, one of the things I make for them has a filling in the middle that has beets and broccoli and spinach and kale purees. And they don't even know they're eating it because I've mixed it with blueberry preserves. So, vegetable purees that are those power vegetables are amazing to be able to add to any diet. Let's see, other superfood that I really like. That's tough because I love food. And I'm a big advocate of telling people there aren't good foods and bad foods. It's our relationship with the food that's either the good or the bad. It's, that all food was created for us to consume. But again, it needs to be as close to its natural form as possible. So, if we can get into those vegetables, and maybe steaming vegetables, maybe you like steamed broccoli better than you like raw broccoli. Great. Just eat the dang broccoli. It doesn't matter how it's dressed up. Just eat the dang broccoli. And then after that, it just has to do with, as far as another superfood idea, is really what jives with your body, because somebody else may be able to process dairy. Somebody else may not. And so their answer is going to be almond milk, while somebody else's answer is going to be cow's milk. So it has to really be the superfood that you are going to eat consistently and that your body can process optimally.
I love it. Perfect sense. Makes perfect sense to me. Where can people find you, Brandy?
I work mostly virtually, which is fantastic. Thank you, COVID. On my website, it's just www.bodybc, the letter B and C, .fit. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of the little places that everybody does socially. But the website is really the quickest and easiest way to find me.
Excellent stuff. Good stuff. Okay, Brandy, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, stick around. I'll do the back end of the show. But for now, thank you so much, Brandy. You're awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Welcome back, guys. Recovery Channel podcast. My name is Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, and Brandy was on the show. I learned like 3 things I had no idea, and 3 good things as well. Especially the waiting in line for the fast food. That's done my head in. Waiting in line for the fast food for 15 minutes when you can take you 2 minutes at home to do your own. Mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. What an amazing person. Busy mom, fitness guru, from what I've heard. And you've heard she does a million other things at once. I know she won't admit this, but I think she's kind of a leader in that area, especially with the autism and the food, and then speaking to other parents as well about it. It's just amazing. She has a great following, no doubt. Hit her up, guys. And we will see you next week, Friday, the same as usual. And if you have any questions at all about our Ultimate Recovery Coaching and Transformational Program, your course starts August the 7th. Jump on, call Janet, or do what you've got to do to get in touch with us. Well worth it. If you're thinking of being a sober coach or a recovery coach, you jump on and we'll give you all the details. It's more work on you to begin with than it is on your coaching. We'll come to that later in the program. It's a 10-week course. There's about 100 hours to be done. So it's not an overnight course that you can buy off the internet. This is the real deal. And it's also backed by the ICF, International Coaching Federation. So you know you're in good stand. All right, guys, have a fantastic week. And if you've got any questions, email us. If you want to say hi on the show next week, you can email us. Have a fantastic week, guys. Bye-bye.